All right. Hey, everybody. Uh, Todd here again in the same place that I'm always at. And I apologize for how long this has taken for an update in the ongoing Hyperacusis story. And I appreciate so much all of the really nice comments. And I'm glad that this has seemingly helped some people with either ideas or just coping. um, the story continues, and I'll just give a little rundown as to why I haven't been here. I think it's an interesting take on things, um, just to put some perspective on maybe your own journey. Uh, so, one thing that I've tried to do during my problems with hyperacusis is to keep a perspective on sort of an open compassion on what other people have to deal with, because uh, it helps me feel good or better about my situation, or at least have some perspective. And sorry, I've got kind of a noisy little refrigerator, and I've got my window open, so you'll hear some cars going by. Um, I I didn't think, if you'd have told me when I first started down the road of the hyperacusis problem that, oh, don't worry, things are going to get a lot worse. I I wouldn't have been able to take it at the time. Since my last update, I had the unfortunate happening of being in France on a once in a lifetime uh, bicycling trip with friends. I'm a mountain biker, road biker. I was in Aix-en-Provence and crashed a bicycle going down a mountainside on a road bike. I shouldn't say I crashed. I had a meet up with a friend. We He didn't crash. I crashed at a pretty high speed, uh, which resulted in broken collarbone, broken ribs, punctured lung, a lot of road rash, and I hit my head very hard. And that led to some neurologic issues that is a whole nother story. Um, and so uh, I'm telling you that to put it in perspective, that this is the life we live, and we've got to deal with what comes up. And for me, one of the things that really helps to put things in perspective is I like history. And I think history is a great way to keep perspective. I just got done reading The Grapes of Wrath by Steinbeck, which I've seen the movie a bunch of times, but I never read the book. If you're in the middle of a journey finding this because of hyperacusis, and you need some perspective, just put the audiobook on of that, about that time and what people were going through, the lack of medical treatment, the lack of housing, the lack of uh, warm water. It'll help. It'll give you a guarantee. There'll be a point in there where you're like, man, that was rough. So, so I've been dealing with neurological problems that led to vision issues, that have led to a lot of time off of work, and again, helped put things in perspective that um, we can get through these things, and two, life doesn't stop just because we're having a bad day, and it can get better, and it can get worse. It's not a bank account, you know. It doesn't, just because we're not doing well and it's low, it doesn't mean bad things can't happen, and good things can come out of this. Resilience can come out of it, and finding and accepting things as they are is a really great thing to learn. To not dwell in what might happen, and not dwell in what you believe, all the these horrible things that you can conjure up for the future, to just be right here with it right now. I meditate, and I believe it's a great thing for anybody. There's a whole bunch of different apps out there and things. I like the Waking Up app, and I like online on YouTube, I like the Jayasara Seminari channel, where she just reads from Buddhist texts and things like that, and does guided meditations. Helps me a great deal to just stay with it and not get out of hand. So that said, this will probably be kind of a long one again, but I'm going to run down where I'm at with my hyperacusis understanding, and I think it's continued to evolve, and I'm really happy about the way it's evolved and that my understanding of it. I still have it. The last time that I think I checked in, it was doing really well. It's gone up and down since then, but I think I've constructed a theory of reasoning that I didn't have before, so that's why I wanted to make another update. So, as in, or what I talked about in my other posts was following the inflammation path, and I'm gonna, stick with a lot of that. But now I think I can get deeper into even another step in closer to the causes and how I've dealt with it over this time. So, where does that leave us? So, there's a couple things that I've learned. Just sometimes it takes a long time sitting with the same thing over and over again every day in different situations for something to click and you to say, oh wait, maybe that's what's going on. So first is my understanding about the dissonant sound. So hyperacusis for me, and I think for a lot of people, has sort of a couple elements. Things sound weird, they don't sound right. I call it dissonance in relation to music. Like a dissonant chord on a guitar is a chord that has one note in there or a couple notes in there that seemingly shouldn't fit, and they're in there. And it can conjure up feelings, and it can conjure up, just like this does. When things don't fit, it translates into a feeling, right? In your stomach, you're like, it makes you kind of sick. You're like, I don't like that, or it bothers your head. These dissonant sounds, and so we get dissonant sounds, or we get hyper acuity of the sounds. We're like, wow, that's too much. I think they're very interrelated. I think hearing the weird sounds makes us super tied into, I don't like that. So there's two things going on there. Now, what I slowly and the other part that I have noticed, and I've talked about extensively in my other videos, is the strain, like almost like muscle strain from my ear canals down, like overworking of the deep inner ear muscles that are trying to do something. So I think I've come up with, for me, something that puts it together, and I like it, and I like the idea, and it's going to be surprising, I think, to some people. It's surprising to me. So first has to do with why do I believe we're getting this dissonance? Well, over time, one of the things I realized, this is a really simple test you can do. When most all of us, when we first come up with hyperacusis, we want to close everything down. We want to throw in earplugs. We want to hide in a room. We want to put headphones on, noise canceling. I've talked deeply about this before, about entry. Get out there, put yourself out there, expose yourself. It's super important. I believe that completely. But along the way, what I realized is, so if we have the hairs in our cochlea on each side, and let's say the dissonance that we're hearing is because on one side we have this hair's hearing fine, this one isn't, this one's hearing fine, this one isn't. So we've got that, and on the other side we've got a matchup where it's like this, right? So left side, the middle one isn't catching, right side, this one is, and so you get a combing effect. You get frequencies that are coming through, and some of them are being caught and some of them aren't. Some of them are being caught by one side, some of them aren't being caught by the other side. We get a strange feeling. Along with that, but that I don't think I've taken seriously enough up to this point, is we have a generalized hearing loss. And the more I've read about it, the more I've experienced in my own life, I think because prior to having the problem with hyperacusis, it was like, well, yesterday I was okay. I didn't have this weird, crazy ass feeling. Today, now you're telling me it's just because of hearing loss. And it's more complicated than that. And that's why I think it's easy to reject it. And the idea of, crank up the volume when you're having a problem with even thinking about going outside seems crazy. But a couple tests you can do, real simple, that took me a long time to figure out. I have certain rooms that I really struggle with, like a kitchen. Kitchens are typically pretty loud. They're pretty open. I go to a friend's house. He's got a couple kids, and big kitchen, open kind of design that goes into a living room. When I sit in that kitchen, I'm struggling. I hear a middle, or there's something in the middle I can't hear. I feel like my ears are trying to reach for sounds. And then the sounds that do come up are really crazy. And one of the things I did once there, just kind of by accident, because I was thinking about it in my car on the way over, was I took an earplug and put it in one ear. Now, most of the time, if I was going to use earplugs, putting two earplugs in, I put it in one ear. So what that did, just to sort of prove the point to me, and you can do this also, prove the point to yourself. Put it in one ear, and hopefully it's showing up on my screen, sorry, somebody's trying to call me. And by putting an earplug in one ear, you take away the combing effect. Now you just have one ear hearing, right? And your brain normalizes that. My brain does. My brain normalizes that, and all of a sudden, it makes sense of what's going on, right? Like, I put it in one ear, and the other ear is like, okay, I'm just not hearing out of that ear. I'm not hearing anything. In this ear, I'm hearing. It's just kind of normal. I don't get the dissonant sound. So that was kind of a big eye-opener, where it was like, okay, so that's kind of proving the point that this clashing of frequencies is giving me a problem. It's making me uncomfortable. Then came the big realization. I ordered at one point. I'm sorry. I'll back up. The other thing that I naturally tested once things calmed down for me over time a little bit, so I wasn't so hypersensitive to everything going on. I have a TV in my room, and I put it at a normal volume, and I would still have that thing where I felt like my ears were working extra hard. Now, this might sound like common sense, but bear with me. If I have a history of playing music, recording music, being in music studios. If you've ever been in an anechoic room, and all anechoic is non-echo room, anechoic, it's a dead room. It's the deadest of room. It's a room where every sound is absorbed. And for a lot of people, if you go in there, it can be a really crazy experience. Some people want to get out right away. I'm one of those people. Rick Beato has a music channel. Some people might know him. He's got an episode where he goes in one and he's bothered by it. The reason I think it bothers you so much is it's like a vacuum, and you're hearing your muscles in your ear, just like those mice in the desert that can shift their ears. Your ear has these little muscles, and it's trying to find the sound, and that will translate into, you get really off kilter. So that's the feeling that I realized I was having, a minor feeling of that. Put on the TV, put it on a normal volume, and you can do the test I was doing. It's like, put your hands behind your ears, and if it comes up, I had a feeling of relaxation. I have a feeling of relaxation. But it wasn't just because the volume was coming up. It was because I was hearing the higher frequencies also. And on both sides, they were normalizing. So again, in this whole theory, if you've got missing hairs that are in your cochlea that pick up the sound and transfer it to your brain, that's how it works. They catch the sound, they get moved by certain frequencies, dependent on where they are in your cochlea, and that sends a signal to your brain. Well, in some of those, you're not getting a signal to your brain. And I believe, your brain wants those signals. That's why it fills in with tinnitus. You get the high-pitched sound, which I also have tinnitus. So we've got the hairs not catching it. We've got the hairs not being the same on both sides, so we get a dissonance, right? And we've got a generalized lowering of our threshold because we've lost hearing. Now remember, some of you may say, well, I don't do anything that's loud. You could just have a loss of hearing genetically. That's a significant part of the population loses hearing as they get older, or just genetically you're predisposed to it. So you start to follow. When I started to follow that logic, sitting in front of a TV, it was a very visceral thing for me. I put my hands up, and all of a sudden, when the frequencies fill in, the dissonant part kind of gets much better, and the muscle thing that I believe causes a lot of inflammation relaxes. So, what is that telling me? Sorry, there's a bus outside of my window that's probably going to sit there for a bit. So I apologize for that. I'll try to speak louder. What is that telling us? It may be telling us the exact opposite that you want to believe when this first happens. That one of the things that might make this a lot better are hearing aids. Because it may, even if you don't have crazy, even if you don't have substantial hearing loss, but what if you have hearing loss in the right frequencies or different frequencies on each side, and you bring up the volume so that those hairs that aren't working great start to catch some of the sound. If you do that and it relaxes the feeling you're having, you could have that happen too. So I got hearing aids. I've got I'm not going to mention the brand here right now, but I got one of the well-known over-the-counter hearing aids. They were quite expensive. I got I didn't get the top of the line in their brand. I got the secondary, which was a mistake on my part. Um, what did I find? I found I didn't like them very much because I couldn't. Biggest thing was I couldn't adjust. I don't like. I'm finding this with. This seems to be the thing with a lot of hearing aids, that the high frequencies are pretty brittle. They're not like putting on headphones. That the sound is very natural. Um, and I'm so I'll finish my story with the hearing aid. Um, but what I did realize is, one, filling in all the gaps with the hearing aid relaxed my ears. It was like like muscles in my face could relax. Two, the dissonance, the strange, I that I relate strongly with hyperacusis, the strange dissonant things don't sound quite right here, got much, much less. I was only bringing up the volume on these just a moderate amount. I didn't need a lot of volume to do this. Um, if my mistake was not getting hearing aids where I could adjust the frequency and soften that upper shelf of frequencies. They, like I said, they were very brittle to me. Um, Hearing aids have a tough job. They're trying to pack a lot into a little. These were the completely in the canal hidden ones. I'm still vain and didn't really want regular hearing aids, but I will be getting another pair, whether it is the step up from these that I can adjust or another try. Um, but where am I going with all this? Where I'm going is that the idea of what hearing loss plays in our experience of hyperacusis, I may have undervalued. And I want to make sure that people are aware of this, because it's not an intuitive thing. It wasn't to me. Why the hell would I want to increase sound volume when all of this stuff is coming at me? Now, I doubt I'm going to convince somebody who's in the real acute phase of this, right? With right now, you're catching me and you're like, man, I can't, I don't even want to go outside. Totally understandable. I just want this. I want this in your arsenal of information, that somewhere down the line, when this relaxes, and it will, when it relaxes, get yourself out there, go for walks, put one ear, plug in, walk for 3 blocks, take it out, put it on the other side, walk for 3 blocks. Anything to normalize yourself, get yourself out there, go and have dinner with friends, suffer through it, you'll get through it. It's worth getting through it, so you're not just sitting in your room hovering over what's going on. Once you get past that point, revisit some of these things that I'm talking about, because I believe for a lot of people it'll make sense. If I put an earplug in, okay, it's not so weird. So one side might be different than the other, so that might help you. And then you can do the TV test or the radio test. Just see if by bringing up the volume, even if it makes you somewhat uncomfortable, you're not going to hurt yourself. It's not going to be that kind of volume. By bringing up the volume, do you reach a point where these these hairs that are inside your cochlea come back online and normalize? So it goes from, okay, I'm not hearing right, the volume comes up, and all of a sudden, boom. For me, that's what it feels like. It's like, no, it's not right, and then, doop, I can hear it all. And it's like, okay, now it's right. And then all I had to do with the hearing aids was bring the volume down to where it's okay, I'm not catching it again, and just get it to there. And it wasn't necessarily about, even though I have moderate hearing loss, I still function really well. I've I I don't I don't find myself asking what all the time, and I can keep things at pretty normal volumes. This is different. This is about a frequency thing and feeling like what I'm hearing sounds normal. For some of you, it might be this might really be groundbreaking, because it might be the kind of thing where if you're past the sensitization issue, but the problem is how weird things sound. This might be like, oh, wait a minute, maybe that is it. And sometimes it just can get past you. So that's my realization at this point. I will very soon again be trying another set of hearing aids. When I get something that I like, I will post another video, because I'm really picky. So far, from what I read, it's a little depressing. Hearing aids have a tough job. Like I said, they're trying to do a lot within a little package. But I think if they could get the middle high and upper high frequencies correct, so that they're not harsh, that a lot more people would be interested in having them. I think manufacturers worry way too much about Bluetooth and all this other junk. I don't care 1 second about streaming audio in my hearing aids. I care about them sounding good so I can wear them all day and forget about them. So, if you're on the journey, I feel for you. Keep in mind that we have to roll with what life gives us, and it can get really dark. And I'm not dismissing that at all by anything that I'm trying to say here. After my bicycle crash, man, there was a point where I'm like, okay, I can't hear, I can't move my arm, I've got a punctured lung, and I thought, man, it can't get any worse than this. And then one day I woke up and I couldn't see right, and found out that because of my head injury, that I have a binocular vision problem, where one eye is just barely, slightly not tracking right. Leads to dizziness, inability to work right now, and you just have to keep looking at the situation simply, your situation, and remember it's your situation. Don't take what I'm saying, take what a doctor tells you, take all that and put it in the mix, but don't dismiss anything about what you know about what is going on. A doctor can't know what you know. That doesn't mean the doctor's uncaring. That doesn't mean anybody's uncaring. It means that we're all individuals. We didn't come off an assembly line. We're not a Toyota pickup. You can't open it up and there's the thing and we fix the thing and take it out. Everybody is going to be different with these things. That's why you really have to trust and know that, okay, I know that I need to do this thing right now, and do it. And hang in there, gather information, and remember that time can really settle things in. We get used to things. Doesn't seem like you might, but we do. We get better at processing it because we're not right in the moment in an acute phase, getting our head blown off by it. And like I said, try opening up a documentary in history. It wasn't that long ago where we couldn't go get our hearing tested, where we couldn't go get an MRI, where we couldn't talk to a specialist that has a really good idea about something, where we couldn't get a drug that can help us. It's really, really good to sit there for a moment with that and think, okay, I'm having a problem that I'm sure somebody else has had in the past, and they had no help whatsoever. We couldn't do this. So it gives you some thankfulness about the situation. And I think some days you really need that. I really need that. So hang in there. I hope this has helped along the way. And if you have any questions, ask, and I try to answer all the questions. It may take me a while, but I really appreciate them. All right, take care. Good luck.